She is not happy. She isn't tired. She is not at home. She isn't a teacher. She is not ready. She isn't hungry. She is not in the classroom. She isn't my sister. She is not tall. She isn't from Japan. She is not sick. She isn't busy right now. She is not afraid. She isn't in the kitchen. She is not late. She is not angry. She isn't in the garden. She is not a doctor. She isn't clean today. She is not at the market. She isn't in her room. She is not polite. She isn't very kind. She is not my neighbor. She isn't in the office. She is not beautiful today. She isn't a dancer. She is not on the bus. She isn't in a good mood. She is not with her friends. She isn't a good singer. She is not at the station. She isn't your cousin. She is not in the shop. She isn't very smart. She is not in the park. She isn't at school. She is not my classmate. She isn't very tall. She is not a good cook. She isn't in the bathroom. She is not excited. She isn't at the party. She is not a student. She isn't wearing a jacket. She is not my friend. She isn't in the car. She is not on time. She isn't a good driver. She is not in the library. She isn't at the beach. She is not strong. She isn't a nurse. She is not serious. She isn't in the kitchen. She is not brave. She isn't at the store. She is not funny. She isn't at the meeting. She is not in the house. She isn't my teacher. She is not in the living room. She isn't from my city. She is not on the phone. She isn't a singer. She is not in the zoo. She isn't very fast. She is not my cousin. She isn't at the hospital. She is not clean. She isn't in the restaurant. She is not my classmate. She isn't a writer. She is not in the bedroom. She isn't at work. She is not my friend's sister. She isn't very old. She is not at the airport. She isn't beautiful today. She is not tired now. She isn't at the bus stop. She is not at the door. She isn't a good dancer. She isn't on the chair. She is not with her mother. She isn't in the office now. She is not my neighbor. She isn't at the festival. She is not in the photo. She isn't very quiet. She is not busy today. She isn't in the shop. She is not happy today. She isn't at the bank. She is not angry at you. She is not a police officer. She isn't on the road. She is not my sister. She isn't very friendly. She is not outside. She isn't inside the room. She is not early. She isn't late today. She is not in class. She isn't at the playground. She is not from my country. She isn't ready to go. She is not a good student. She isn't my best friend. She is not asleep. She isn't awake yet. She is not cold. She isn't warm. She is not afraid of dogs. She isn't shy. She is not at the window. She isn't near the table. She is not alone. She isn't with her brother. She isn't in the hall. She is not quiet today. She isn't very patient. She is not in a hurry. She isn't upset now. She is not beautiful. She isn't tall. She is not short. She isn't thin. She is not fat. She isn't smart. She is not lazy. She isn't kind. She is not rude. She isn't shy. She is not brave. She isn't funny. She is not polite. She isn't quiet. She is not noisy. She isn't rich. She is not poor. She isn't young. She is not old. She isn't friendly. She is not serious. She isn't clever. She is not honest. She isn't patient. She is not strong. She isn't weak. She is not gentle. She isn't wild. She is not clean. She isn't dirty. She is not tall enough. She isn't small. She is not big. She isn't nice. She is not cute. She isn't helpful. She is not selfish. She isn't beautiful today. She is not tired now. She isn't ready. She is not calm. She isn't nervous. She is not sad. She isn't happy. She is not angry. She isn't scared. She is not sleepy. She isn't healthy. She is not sick. She isn't hungry. She is not thirsty. She isn't full. She is not busy. She isn't free. She is not early. She isn't late. She is not cold. She isn't warm. She is not hot. She isn't beautiful tonight. She is not in a good mood. She isn't in a bad mood. She is not confident. She isn't brave enough. She is not famous. She isn't popular. She is not interesting. She isn't boring. She is not helpful today. She isn't polite today. She is not angry anymore. She isn't happy now. She is not tall like you. She isn't short like her. She is not from my school. She isn't from my family. She is not my classmate. She isn't my neighbor. She is not my teacher. She isn't my friend. She is not from here. She isn't from that city. She is not from Japan. She isn't from America. She is not from Indonesia. She isn't from China. She is not in the house. She isn't at home. She is not in the room. She isn't in the class. She is not in the office. She isn't in the shop. She is not in the garden. She isn't in the kitchen. She is not in the living room. She isn't in the bathroom. She is not in the car. She isn't at the park. She is not at the beach. She isn't at the market. She is not at the bus stop. She isn't at the bank. She is not at the restaurant. She isn't at the station.